targeting one spell trap card on the field.
And to be honest, later can summon also Nightmare Unicorn in order to shuffle this synchro deck into the more
Droplet. What a card! I mean, every single time it's been activated, it's been absolutely decisive, and once again we
as the Fiendsmith combo goes off.
I mean, you have to also admit that Nash is playing the anti-Malice deck here, and he's actually facing off versus Chris.
Fair.
So fair to cue the deck that has Artifact Lancea.
But if you know that Nash is for sure bringing an anti-Malice strategy, perhaps you've opted to go second, or, well, you lost the coin toss anyway, but perhaps it's Chris with that Malice counter that he was packing to in the Sky Striker 10 Pi.
You cannot definitely tell. It was not revealed just yet. So far, Chris is not moving, but that could be because it is that Sky Striker 10 Pi deck.
There was in Duel B something crazy happening. Mulling Glacia was resolved and actually discarding Imperial Iron Wall. Vince made the prediction of playing versus Malice again. Had Imperial Iron Wall, wouldn't have helped at all because it is the Mermail Atlanteans.
Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth flooding the field with monsters, and this just continues to look great for Luca and Team Ragnarok.
Honestly, I think Luca played a real strong mind game with the entire competition. He said it in any talk he had to anyone, basically to me, to all of his friends. He always said, I don't need to go away from my Malice deck, to now only when his opponent expects him to bring it, of course, once more, go over to the Mermaid deck.
He just knew this was the anti-Malice slot. Vince is going to be super comfortable playing this into there. And of course, if you're playing Atlantean Mermaid, you go first. That's a huge start already. It's very hard to stop you in your tracks, but if your opponent is playing so many cards that just stop you from banishing, it doesn't really do anything.
Yes, indeed. We even have an Xyz 7 now coming through. That will be the Poseidra Abyss coming through. Actually, no, it's the Abyss Strike.
It is, and actually, Duel C, I don't think Chris is on his 10 Pi deck necessarily, as we just saw a Ghost Ballad Haunted Mansion there being used on the effect of Fiendsmith Sequence.
Now an Xyz 4 coming through. Mermail plus Atlantean Dragoons equals Bahamut Shark.
What a card. That card is no longer illegal in a TCG, but is very much so here in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Brings out the Levirtu Dragon, and that one is going to continue putting more and more water monsters onto the field. And Vince, we just saw the Imperial Iron Wall, but that also tells us this should be his secondary deck, the Voiceless Voice deck, actually.
Yep, Voiceless Voice, a good answer into most, but is it enough at this point? Down to 2 cards in hand before the duel has even begun for him. We mentioned the Poseidra Abyss before. There it is, finally the next step in the combo. That rank 7 now with 3 materials ready and waiting to sink Vins on the next turn.
And now on the Duel of the Captains, Herman Hansen is doing what Bronas promised to do before that match, saying, I will Baguska you in the mirror match. That has now just happened to him. Untargetable, indestructible. Baguska, the terribly tired top here, is sitting in defense position. Even though misused his entire hand, it is looking rather good right here. While Luca is still doing full combo, the only one who is maybe struggling a little bit from Team Ragnarok to put up a big field is Nashi. With those 2 hand traps used against him, he can go into a Caesar if he plays it and has 2 cards left in hand.
And the Marincess Coral and Enemy resolving is very important here because that was identified. It really was.
Yep, and if you're looking at want to play, you don't want to give the deck 20 cards in hand. No field in the world can withstand that. Look at this.
Salamangreat Sunlight
Wolf. We are trying to give all of these draws. Is there a way to maybe recycle the zombie vampire?
Whole gang's rooting for me. And with my friends behind me, there's no way I can lose. What I'm fighting for, I got that part down. Here I go. It's all or nothing. So, what's inside this thing? Come on, Joey needs a new pair of shoes. The moment of truth. Whoa! Get a load of that thing, guys! Now there's something you don't see every day. Check this out. Red Eyes Black Dragon. I'm talking Red Eyes Black Dragon, folks. It's your move. Nike Air Max 95.
Next up, we have an update about our AI project for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So some of you might have seen on yesterday's broadcast, there was a trial in 10 different languages being displayed as part of those feature matches. Now, the AI commentary tool is not intended to replace the kind of commentary that you see at the World Championship Series, but it is to bring accessibility to more fans and more languages than ever before. Let's take a look.
Is the perfect start. Summon. The tracker device of blue descends with a roar. Von hier aus zielen wir auf die nächste Bewegung von Unterwelterschmied. Ash Blossom enjoys spring attacks work. Nibiru, the primal being, is raining down. Duel!
And finally, we have one more teaser to share for now. Let's take a look. So the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel will be crossing the pitch and collaborating with Konami's eFootball and eFootball champion squads, bringing together Goliaths in a way that will certainly score a goal with fans. Make sure you stay tuned for more information in the near future. That is it for now for some of our announcements and updates, but it's time to get into another semi-final for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel to see who's going to be securing their place in the grand final later on today, as well as our Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links final for both Speed Duel and Rush Duel. I've been your host, Ed Templar. For now, I'm going to hand you over to your amazing commentators and casters who are going to take you through this next semi-final.
Hello, Paris. Are you ready to duel? The WCS 2025 here for Master Duel goes into the next round, the second semi-finals. Team CHAIBA Corp has already this morning qualified for the finals, and now it is with Ragnarok versus Team Brotdose.
Indeed, two European teams here at the World Championship in Europe, in Paris, trying to make it to the finals and trying to basically turn that home turf advantage into a real title.
Yep, and while that matchup does guarantee us a European team in the grand finals, it also means one of these teams ends their dreams right here. We heard from Ryan Yu that perhaps Ragnarok are slightly favored. We also heard from other members of the audience, public, that, again, Ragnarok slightly favored, because as it turns out, Nesh, Luca, Mist, with their track record, have been immensely popular and immensely successful.
They're almost unbeatable as a team. But to be honest, Vincenzo Orofino earlier said that he thinks Brotdose is slightly favored. So both of these teams are very confident in themselves, and I think this sets us up for a great bunch of duels.
Yeah, and honestly, their tournament run so far in the round robin group stage could have not been really much different, because it was really Ragnarok starting out good and really continuing to show that they will be pushing, and they were in a comfortable situation before the last round. They only had to win, which they did, to then secure top 4. For Brotdose, on the other hand, it was sort of messy, and they were kind of lucky to sneak in to still get that second place there, to be now here also one of our 4 remaining teams.
Yes, indeed, and of course the 8-1 victory against Team 7 did play a big role in Brotdose securing their spot here in the semi-finals. But now, just, taking it back to day one and contextualizing the journeys that these teams did take to get here, you do have to consider that Ragnarok were in a group that was actually looked at as being probably the scariest, most difficult group that anyone could have expected, mostly due to the presence of both Tusku and Snipe Hunters. Now, on top of that, out of nowhere, Noble Gabig Goal going off to a fantastic start within the group really shook things up. Anybody could have walked away there, but Ragnarok escaping as your first seed. Testament to just how strong this team is.
Yep, and the first seed for Ragnarok, that came from completely 8-1 defeating Noble Gabig Goal, costing them the entrance into day 2 as well. So everything comes with a prize at the World Championships.
Indeed it does. And also, deck-wise, as we have that special 6 decks for the entire team, 2 decks per player principle, they are really going into different directions too. Some of the stuff, of course, overlapping. Sure, there's a Malice deck, there's a RYZEAL deck on both of the teams. You would not be surprised by that. But when it comes to the other decks, it will be more interesting. And I'm excited to hopefully see some of the other stuff as well as, for example, Bronas or also Vincenzo. They have been cooking so much with those second decks.
Yeah, and just dialing it back to that Group A discussion because, you know, if Ragnarok do advance here, they'd be playing against CHAIBA Corp, who are also in that group, along with alignments, as well as the other 3 teams we mentioned before, which just goes to show just how strong and how stacked that lineup truly was.
Yep, and if you're looking at the individual players, at the captains, you have Herman Hansen, missed on the one side, one of the best TCG players ever. World's TCG top 8 already, has already played Master Duel Worlds 2 years ago, has countless great finishes at Nationals, YCSs, everything. Euros, is a phenomenal player. Everyone who plays competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! In the world might know this name. And on the other side, you have Bronas, who has emerged from playing Master Duel. Nobody knew this name before, but in the shortest of times, he just rose up to greatness and has performed like crazy.
Absolutely, you can really tell some players, they just really dedicate their time to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel lately. You saw that also with Mist. This season, you could really tell he was focusing on the Duelist Cups. He was really spending his time on those, and therefore also, obviously, almost as the logical result, won a Duelist Cup even as a European player, which is really such a tough thing to do.
Yep, and time again, we've mentioned how storied these players are in the trading card game, and yet, as of recent, they've also been making an impact in Master Duel. Ragnarok in particular, every single 3v3 tournament we've seen them compete in, they have handily won without making it even look close.
Yep, and of course these teams have watched all of those 45 games from yesterday. If it was 45, of course, in some situations you win the last one per default, but they have done so much research for these semifinals. Both teams know exactly where they are standing at.
Yep, and just contextualizing it again against this team from Brotdosa, because this was a very kind of less experienced team in terms of the amount of time that they spent competing together, but competing against each other, it is comparable. And that means that these are top tier individual players that had to find that teamwork on short notice, but they found enough to make it all the way here to the semi-finals, and they found enough to be confident heading into this matchup as well.
Short notice is completely correct, as I've heard stories from Team Brotdosa basically the night before deck submission, the emergency call, oh, we have to switch the deck, and they were really hectic and really quick about it, but they apparently made correct decisions because they are now part of this second semi-final here at the World Championship in Paris. And I think we have been talking for a really long time now, and everyone at home and everyone in the audience obviously now wants to see the cards being played. We want to see some Master Duel action. So without any further ado, let's get into that second semi-final.
Ragnarok taking on Brotdosa.
It's going to happen quite soon,
yes,
of course.
Indeed it is.
We're just teasing you there, of course.
A little bit.
Let's actually talk a little bit more about the captains and their
up.
deck choices. It's coming up, yeah, definitely.
And it's so hype.
They are incredible deck builders, Herman Hansen, and of course also Bronas. They have cooked up so much. Of course, now in this situation, there are no secrets anymore. Everyone knows the deck list that everyone else is playing. I think probably every single card has been revealed, has been researched so far, so no surprises there anymore. But
with
of course,
the exception of Luca's second deck, actually, the Malice trend continues. It's actually something that your other finalists in CHAIBA Corp experienced as well, where the Malice Duelist was dedicated to that deck, which is testament A, to its strengths, and B, to saving the strategy, to keeping as many cards close to your chest as you can until the finals, until you need it. You can then break the glass in case of emergency.
Yeah, and actually I think Chris, one of the players from Team Brotdose, was also one of the only players in the tournament that made the very interesting decision of combining the Malice deck with the Tenpai Dragon Sky Striker strategy. Usually the pair up between decks was a little different than that, but it was actually a successful ratio for them, a successful decision that led to them being part of the top 4 now.
Yes, because usually the Malice deck doesn't really struggle versus the RYZEAL strategy. Yeah, you want to queue it against them. Also, the RYZEAL players most of the time don't have an anti-Malice pick as the second deck. So you're just basically free to go, queue up your Malice deck, maybe have it easier by winning the coin toss, but of course also you can play well into a detonator if you find a little bit of an answer, or if you maybe completely stop them with something like a Maxi, or if you just find enough extenders, you can overpower the RYZEAL field with Malice.
Yes, indeed you can, and it's really testament to the strength of the Malice deck that so many of these players, so many of these teams relied upon it in the hands of their team captains to get them over the finish line. But actually, these are two teams that don't have that in the hands of their captains, instead opting to give the RYZEAL to both Bronus and Mist.
True, yeah, very interesting decision, but which card is it going to be that is going to be the significant one for this semi-final? Is RYZEAL Detonator the one dominating? Is going to be Access Code Talker the one finishing it for all the Malice players? Or maybe is it even going to be the Creation King, the Memento card, that is going to be the significant one for this one?
And on the topic of the strategy of giving your team captain what is considered to be the dominant deck, at this stage of the game, at this stage of the tournament, tiebreakers no longer matter. All that matters is that one of these teams is going to come out ahead in that best of 9. It's a 3 versus 3 round robin between the two teams. First team to 5 wins will advance to the final.
Yep, the games are about to start. We are not just quite there yet, but just imagine you are in this situation. You are one of those 6 players there. You have just seen this ceremony, this amazing music building up to one of the most important games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Of your life. How incredibly hyped are you in this situation?
Pretty hyped. And yeah, I think that this is again kind of an example of where we're leaning on Ragnarok in particular, being those experienced competitors that have proven themselves and have performed in front of crowds before and have made it all the way to the World Championship previously as well. But Brotdose, it's not going to be easy, but they can indeed do it.
They may be able to. It's everyone's game now, and we are now finally ready to present you with that second semi-final.
All right, we are locking into the matches. You can see the intro, the French flag of Master Duel here, blue versus red. Who's going to come out on top? Is it going to be Ragnarok or is it Team Brotdose?
Wow. It looks like Ragnarok just won all 3 coin flips, and it means that they will get to go first here on the bottom half
and
of your screen. But there
has
we
not
go.
played anything but Malice the entire tournament, and Duel B starts off now showing that his second deck is Mermail all of a sudden.
Mermail, phenomenal when it comes to dealing with a lot of different things, especially when it gets to play without any kind of disruption, and right now seems to just be resolving card after card after card.
And of course also Mist being stopped on the Ice RYZEAL with an effect negation like a real pro. Just throws the Sword RYZEAL from hand just after that. And now what is going on in Duel C right now? We're seeing Engraver, discard, add Fiendsmith, tracked. That's a solid start.
Nash is there for, and that's another surprise here, not playing his beloved Memento deck, but also has decided to switch it up to his secondary deck, which is the Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck, actually.
Yes,
so
indeed.
surprising.
It's the Fiendsmith Snake Eye Kashtira Millennium. It's everything good that isn't needed within the other decks for this team, including the Atlantean Mermail that Luca has now revealed. I guess we said this was the break glass in case of emergency. Well, this is apparently emergency enough for Luca to start playing that. Nesh, though, speaking of starting playing, currently uninterrupted as the Fiendsmith combo goes off.
I mean, you have to also admit that Nash is playing the anti-Malice deck here, and he's actually facing off versus Chris.
Fair.
So bear to cue the deck that has Artifact Lancea.
But if you know that Nesh is for sure bringing an anti-malice strategy, perhaps you've opted to go second, or, well, you lost the coin toss anyway, but perhaps it's Chris with that malice counter that he was packing to in the Sky Striker 10 Pi.
You cannot definitely tell. It was not revealed just yet. So far, Chris is not moving, but that could be because it is that Sky Striker 10 Pi deck.
There was in Duel B something crazy happening. Mulling Glacia was resolved and actually discarding Imperial Iron Wall. Vince made the prediction of playing versus Malice again. Had Imperial Iron Wall, wouldn't have helped at all because it is the Mermail Atlanteans.
Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth flooding the field with monsters, and this just continues to look great for Luca and Team Ragnarok.
Honestly, I think Luca played a real strong mind game with the entire competition. He said it in any talk he had to anyone, basically to me, to all of his friends. He always said, I don't need to go away from my Malice deck, to now only when his opponent expects him to bring it, of course, once more, go over to the Mermail deck.
He just knew this was the anti-Malice slot. Vince is going to be super comfortable playing this into there. And of course, if you're playing Atlantean Mermail, you go first. That's a huge start already. It's very hard to stop you in your tracks, but if your opponent is playing so many cards that just stop you from banishing, it doesn't really do anything.
Yes, indeed. We even have an Xyz 7 now coming through. That will be the Poseidra Abyss coming through. Actually, no, it's the Abyss Strike.
It is, and actually, Duel C, I don't think Chris is on his 10 Pi deck necessarily, as we just saw a Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion there being used on the effect of Fiendsmith Sequence.
Now an Xyz 4 coming through. Mermail plus Atlantean Dragoons equals Bahamut Shark.
What a card. That card is no longer illegal in a TCG, but is very much so here in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Brings out the Virtue Dragon, and that one is going to continue putting more and more water monsters onto the field. And Vince, we just saw the Imperial Iron Wall, but that also tells us this should be his secondary deck, the Voiceless Voice deck, actually.
Yep, Voiceless Voice, a good answer into most, but is it enough at this point? Down to 2 cards in hand before the duel has even begun for him. We mentioned the Poseidra Abyss before. There it is, finally the next step in the combo. That rank 7 now with 3 materials ready and waiting to sink Vins on the next turn.
And now on the Duel of the Captains, Herman Hansen is doing what Bronas promised to do before that match, saying, I will Baguska you in the mirror match. That has now just happened to him. Untargetable, indestructible. Baguska, the terribly tired top here, is sitting in defense position. Even though misused his entire hand, it is looking rather good right here. While Luca is still doing full combo, the only one who is maybe struggling a little bit from Team Ragnarok to put up a big field is Nashi. With those 2 hand traps used against him, he can go into a Caesar if he plays it and has 2 cards left in hand.
And the Marincess Coral and Enemy resolving is very important here because that was identified as one of the big choke points for the deck on day 1 when we saw it in the hands of other players. Granted, when we saw it then, it wasn't backed by quite such an impressive field, but even so, the fact that that went off unimpeded, even though Vince has only 2 cards in hand, so it's a little bit less likely that he'll have something to begin with. Yeah, this is rapidly approaching territory where there's no coming back. Mermail King Nept Abyss now.
And talking about Vince, you can clearly tell he has no interruption in his hand and therefore rather focuses on his teammates. He's leaning over, watching his team captain and his match and how that goes, and he's trying to help him as good as he can. This is a 3v3 team competition, so you're always playing every match together.
I think Bronas was also watching Chris's screen, by the way, because that duel seems to be very much anyone's to take.
Let's go over to Duel C right here because Nash is pulling off crazy things. Has 4 monsters on the field. No, Caesar had an Ash in hand. Is going to bring back the Jet Synchron. Go into a Saryuja Skull Dread. Chain blocking it from a potential Ass Blossom and Joyous Spring. Is going to draw 4 cards. Can special summon another monster. Did he find the Snake Eye Ash?
Or maybe he's just digging for an Artifact Lancea, as he's probably now assuming that this gotta be the Malice deck from Chris' side, and that is just the fine Italian cooking that Nash is known for so much.
Yep, and Saryuja Skull Dread, of course, a very cool tech that we've seen a lot across the tournament, especially when it comes to digging for that Droll and Lockbird for certain matchups. Right now, though, despite all of those combos, not the most impressive field that Chris has to play into.
I think even if this is Artifact Lancea in the hand of Nash, that's just a turn. Saryuja's Skuldred itself doesn't really do too much. Of course, you still have the Fiendsmith engine set up, but I think you would immediately throw an Artifact Lancea. If it is the main phase, I don't think this is what he has in hand.
Ooh, it is intense. Nash has to hope that Chris finds no way around that Saryuja, but 4 cards in hand is really not that little.
A little bit intriguing for us here that the deck from Chris still has yet to be revealed, of course. Granted, the fact that something's being set face down suggests that it is indeed the Malice and not the 10 high Dragon Sky Striker. Otherwise, this could be an explosive game. But right now, we have Allure of Darkness looking for more cards.
That could be a risky Allure of Darkness because it seems like there currently is no Dark Monster in the hand as we set cards before. Do we even find the Dark Monster in? No!
All of those cards to the graveyard! And now Chris still basically has almost card advantage. Both have Lucas another Allure of Darkness.
One more try. Is there a Dark Monster? There is a Dark Monster as we keep a moment to resolve it.
It is Marcher, and Marcher is not the one that you want to have in this situation unless Chris hopes to survive for another turn with his 3 cards there. Now, Marcher, do you have a normal summon that is going to help you here? Because the Fiendsmith engine is still relevant for Nash. Sets another card. Is this maybe something like a Dominus Impulse, something like a Called by the Grave, something that can help you withstand the onslaught of attacks that Nash is going to release upon him?
And on the topic of onslaught of attacks, we see in Duel A, it has convincingly gone over now.
And that means that, of course, the Team Ragnarok is in the lead. The team captain missed, who brought them into the tournament, is showing what he's made of. And now Nash also gets that Fiendsmith Requiem onto the field. So his Fiendsmith engine is all well going too. But also Duel B has just ended with also Luca taking it for Team Ragnarok.
2-0 up on the board for Ragnarok here. Mist and Luca, as you mentioned, were able to cleanly close out their victories. It's only Nash that still needs to make it happen. But right now, looks to be well underway in that regard.
Lacrima is being sent back to the X-Ray. Engraver is being summoned. We are already at a lot of damage here. Saryuja is just helping us with the damage. How much is this? 4, 9, 5, 6, 5, 6?
58.
5, 8.
And we use the effect of Fiendsmith Requiem now. There's very little that Chris can do here to stop it. Yeah, you may as well use Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, but there already is so much, so I don't even know whether it would be good. Dominus Impulse can stop it, though, for the very moment.
And it can't be Ash Blossom Joy Spring. We know that the last card in hand is Malice P. Marcher.
Very right.
Was just added back. Another card is set. If that is Impulse, it can't be activated. What can it be?
This could potentially be the end of the duel for Chris as Nash looks to close it out, and it would take Ragnarok in a clean sweep to 3.
What is this? Special summoning from the hand from Saryuja now. That is, of course, the other effect of it. I am sure we bring out Diabellus of a Black Witch, and that is enough attack points to head into the battle phase if we like to.
This card is so strong. Even if you're trying to go for a game here and you can't for some reason make it, there is a... Oh, Infinite Permanence is being activated. That means that you have enough game damage.
That would be 8,000 regardless anyway, so that, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, and that's 6,500 left remaining on the side of Chris as well. So this Infinite Impermanence is basically just saying, hey, let's go into the next set. Just go into the battle phase. You know, I cannot even activate my... Well, there's a card. Oh, Malice in the Mirror is, of course, there.
Hold on. We can defend ourselves a little bit with the March Cherry. It's not just over here for the very moment. But
you have Engraver.
You saw, really, both of these teams lingering around the venue here the entire day. They were really ready, they were waiting, they wanted to get onto the stage, and now Team Ragnarok is storming onto the stage with this first set being a clean sweep, taking it 3-0!
Nash, Luca, Mist, 3-0. Each of these individual stars are able to shine in this first set of games, but it is not over yet. Chris, Bronus, Vince, they could still make a comeback on behalf of Team Brotdosa.
But they need to win almost everything now. They have 6 chances of winning a duel now. They need to win 5 of those. Only 2 wins necessary for Team Ragnarok. And if you are playing versus Luca Foyan, versus Antonio Papa, and versus Herman Hansen that it is going to be so incredibly tough.
But that
Incredibly
being
tough
said,
indeed.
we did see the team that took the first set convincingly earlier actually not advance to the grand finals when Fala Galera, of course, did lose against CHAIBA Corp. So we've seen it before, though their lead was not quite as substantial as the 3 wins now on the board for Team Ragnarok.
That is true. The team named after the TCG set Storm of Ragnarok really storming onto the big stage here. They have only waited yesterday, the round of robin group stages. They were playing there in the players' room, but now they're really feeling comfortable on the stage. You could see also with Nash smiling into the camera, hearing the crowd, they are ready to deliver and they really want to be the world champions.
They're absolutely locked in. These duelists have played together for over 2 years now. Ever since 2023, they have been playing together with each other. Team Ragnarok, that is. Every single week they have been preparing for this last year. They almost made it, and now they are so close to becoming world champions. They are one step already in the big finals.
And I do just want to praise their consistency as a team of 3, especially when you consider the competitions that they've entered and the fact that they've endured and succeeded, thrived even, across a variety of competitive metagames and environments. We've seen success from them on a broad range of decks, including that Atlantean Mermail that Luca pulled out of the bag here in the semi-finals of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2025.
Indeed, he tricked us all, saying I would never play anything but Malice, that deck is just too strong. And then, that very moment, all of a sudden, he gets it onto the table and he surprises us, the crowd, and very much also his opponent, of course.
Will he do that again, though? There is a guessing game here as to whether your opponent takes a certain deck or not. And Chris now has a big decision to make. Do you take Malice, inarguably the most dominant deck of the format, now that you've lost game 1 with it? Or do you try and get the surprise, the X factor of Sky Striker 10-Pi Dragon breaking open a game on turn 2?
That heavily depends on your opponent. If you are playing versus Luca, I think that you're going to bring your own deck there. But if you are playing versus the RYZEAL deck, then of course Sky Striker 10-Pi sounds tempting. But I hear that the duelists are ready, so let's go into game or set 2.
Set 2 indeed between Ragnarok, who are 3-0 up, against Brodosa. Brodosa, their tournament lives are on the line here. It's the semi-finals. We have another set of games after this for the victor. Can Brodosa make a comeback and stake a claim for that one? This is probably a pretty good start for them, actually, as Maxi comes down to reign on the Fiendsmith Parade.
That does work, and we see that Nash has no business changing it up. Game 1, the Snake Eye Fiendsmith strategy worked well, so we keep on going with it. And this is now that Italian on Italian encounter between him and Vince, as Vince also said in the interview. Very proud Italian duelists. Now one of them will only emerge to the finals, of course.
Brona's actually playing Pot of Desires in his RYZEAL strategy. There is going to normal summon, or did he special summon the X, and now he's going to special summon Sword as well, as we can see there. I think we're still considering to resolve the Maxi or not, taking our sweet time there in Duel A or Duel C. Let's actually go over to Duel A and see what's happening there, because I think in the 2 games where you don't win the dice roll, you're getting completely comboed off. No Maxi there, and I think this is right now really looking well for Brodosa.
Yep, a phenomenal position for the Malice deck to be in as Chris continues to combo, continues to sequence, and makes his way towards that end field. Miss just sitting back, just watching, just deciding whether or not to play anything to counteract this, if indeed he can. B and C looking okay for Brodosa too, especially Duel B, whereas Duel C, maybe, just maybe, we see it go by way of Ragnarok.
We have seen a maxi resolved by Vince, and now Nash is committing heavily into it, and that is going to be interesting. Is he going to try to full combo through a maxi, saying, hey, my field is going to be good enough, and Vince's deck can't have enough pushes, because I think Vince is on Voiceless Voice and Memento, right?
Yes, I think that is the decision we just made. He checked with his teammates, and I think the call is we do not care about this maxi. Memento only has a certain amount of pushes, so we just make our field and hope that Memento cannot break it after all.
Yep, Snake Eye Ash, Snake Eye Poplar. Poplar then goes into the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. Everything just continues to unfold in favor of Nesh here. I believe that is the Snake Eyes Dire Bellstar joining it in the Spell and Trap card zone, now moving to the Monster zone. Snake Eyes Flambear's Dragon there as well, now as the Link summoning does happen for Nesh.
So that we talk about it so much, let's get also the moving going. Let's get Dual C back into the main attention, as that is the one that currently is the most interesting there, with Nash just playing into his maxi and the hand size of Vince almost unable to be displayed there anymore.
Yep, gonna give over at least 10 cards, you have to imagine. Hopefully no super polymerization in that Dual C that we would like to look at.
Actually, I think in the Memento deck you could very well play Super Polymerization, also because you're probably considering to play loads of mirror matches there, and the other deck from Memento is most of the time just a Malice counter. So I think Super Polymerization would have been an insane call, also because it's never really used in Malice or RYZEAL. And now we're going to see a Moon of the Closed Heaven. This is so many cards, but of course, yes, Memento only has so many pushes. But if you give the deck infinite cards, it might surprise you with some Book of Eclipses or some other cards that will break your field.
You could also just keep summoning until they run out of cards to draw.
Oh, this might be the deck out strategy.
It is Kashtira Millennium Fiendsmith Snake Eye, so it has no shortage of summons. There is another one and another card coming through for Vince.
Fiendsmith Desiree was summoned, but you really got to question what the plan ultimately is. What are we trying to go for? If we really are aiming for that deck out strategy, surely we're going to go for Zombie Vampire eventually, as well, as that makes that process immensely easier, because you can just rule out 4 cards immediately through that Zombie Vampire.
Malice Q White Binder hitting the field alongside Appaloosa Bow the Goddess does suggest that at least this duel is going much better for Team Ragnarok.
Let's go into Dual C, because this is what is happening right now. We have the 4 cards milled from both players. There's so many cards in Vince's hand, and if you are watching the matches closely, there is a very high chance that there's only...
Oh, the Chaos Hunter, of course, that is the explanation. We don't care about the cards in hand, but we do not even play versus the Malice deck here. This is against Memento, where it has applications, but it's not really that great.
Yeah, digging for that Chaos Hunter does shut off so many options for Vince here. Maybe he's playing Memento, maybe he's playing Voiceless Voice, but either way, gonna have a miserable time against what Nesh has started here. And Nesh not stopping, continuing to summon Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames hitting the field and bringing back Snake Eyes Flambear's Dragon.
I wouldn't even be surprised if the Chaos Hunter was going to be linked away later on, because I'm very sure at this point we're just going to try and go for a deck out here. Very sure this is not going to be Voiceless Voice there, but the Memento strategy for Vince. Of course, Chaos Hunter helps a little bit there, but this is not what you want to play. You don't want to give the deck 20 cards in hand. No field in the world can withstand that. Look at this.
Salamangreat Sunlight
Wolf. We are trying to give all of these draws. Is there a way to maybe recycle the Zombie Vampire? Or, I mean, the thing is, Nash and his colleagues, they have definitely thought about this scenario, right? There has to be a way for them to deck out here. This is not just out of the blue decision.
Ooh, and should I tell you something? Dual A, we have the return of Mist to his Ritual Beast deck, as I just see Rampengu there being normal summoned into the Malice field from Chris.
Yep, Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, of course, Mist's favorite monster of choice. This is his favorite deck of choice, and he's been so immensely successful on the strategy. It came into prominence as an answer to the Yubel deck last year. Hasn't really seen too much of it aside from when Mist was able to bring it alongside.
Wow, that is the field now. Gave the opponent almost his entire deck into the hand, but now Vince, I think with all of those options, he even has a hard time to make a decision, because there's just so many things that he can choose from.
This is insane. the field is not even looking that good. There is not Appaloosa plus IP. There is just IP here. So you have to choose between Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess or the SP Little Knight that you can make later on. And this is not even the best field that you can make, really relying on the Chaos Hunter as well here. I was so sure this was going to be a deck out strategy. I wish we could see how many cards there are actually left in the deck of Vincenzo Ortofino.
It can't be much more than 10, I would say. I mean, it's funny. Cards like Memento and Bone Party, when there are no more monsters in the deck, all of a sudden they become much less attractive because there is just no way to resolve them even. I'm sure there's at least one Memento monster left, though, in the deck of Vince. But how are we here approaching this? It is, in fact, the Memento deck, and this is Memento and Anguish as the normal summon of choice.
That is going to add another card from the deck to the hand for Vince. Very comfortable on this Memento strategy and has so many options available to him thanks to those countless cards in the hand. Akihiron going to be the option of choice here, but is it enough to survive Nesh and his onslaught?
Dual ACs, Team Protoza on the board. We have Chris winning there, and therefore the overall score now is 3-1.
And it's looking insane for Dual B as well. Bronas just with a Called by the Grave, chained to Malice in the mirror effect, taking out the target, not letting his opponent add a card back to the hand, not letting him summon the name again, just making sure that the turn is passed and looking very good, trying to close out the game as well. But let's focus on Dual C again.
They need one more win to guarantee us a third set of games here in Paris.
And now the Memento fusion will be negated by that Fiendsmith Desiree. And in the process, we also get to negate the Anguish, as we can negate up to 2 cards with the Fiendsmith sequence being a link to monster equipped to the Desiree.
But that is still really good, not only because you're denying the special summon of a fusion monster, no, because you're also denying, because that was about to happen, to be honest.
Indeed.
You're also denying the cards in hand to go to the graveyard, which is really important in the Memento strategy. Even though you can just, if you have drawn the combined creation, by the way, you can just fill up your deck again with cards from the hand.
Very, very likely, yes, indeed, as we now have some consideration as to how to utilize this triple tactics talent. Talents, of course, being very, very influential within Master Duel competitively, just because it's an impactful card, but also, you know, dialing it back to the 2023 World Championship when Snipe Hunters were victorious, that was the shared card of choice that set them apart from the rest of the pack, and that was what made the difference back then.
We chain the IP Masquerena, and I think we can rule out one thing. I don't think Vince wants to draw more cards. I think he's pretty happy with the amount of cards he has in hand, so this definitely looks like the situation that we're trying to take a monster, and that forces Nash to not only activate 1, but 2 of his monster effects here, being the Flambirch and the IP Masquerena, not risking that they're just taking over there.
And you can diminish the problems here by going IP Masquerena into SP Little Knight. Nice, getting rid of the Desiree as well to activate that effect. Oh, it's going for Nightmare
Phoenix now. It will allow us to draw a card, but it doesn't do too much else here.
And should I tell you something? You see it there with another red win logo in Duel B. We really have Bronas and his team Brotoza coming back into this as the team captain makes the score 3-2 now.
And that does guarantee us a third set of games after this, but will it be reset to a best of 3? Will it be 3-3 on the scoreboard between Ragnarok and Brotoza, or will we see Nesh able to survive these countless cards in Vince's hand?
Ooh, there is 1-for-1 still, so that means there is even a level 1 Memento monster left in the deck, but that is matched with Ash Blossom and Joy Spring here.
Nash is just activating every card that is somehow possible, and of course you have to. Bone Party is being activated. Of course you can just destroy 1 card from hand, doesn't even matter. At this point there's no more real interruptions. You still have a Promethean Princess pop from the graveyard, but how is that going to stop Memento with 17 cards in hand?
It feels like a really tough situation for Nash. He made the decision to play a combo to give all of those cards away into the Max C, but it looks like Vince may just have a couple too many at this point.
So many options available to the Memento deck. Unfortunately, the hand, while fairly loaded, is not quite the same as the graveyard for this strategy, and that does mean that perhaps we are running out of options fairly soon. Still, a few available. That Chaos Hunter on your side of the field now as well, but called by the Grave going to come through to stop the disruption of the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames.
I mean, of course, there has to be everything in the hand of Vince right now, and Vince is just calmly acknowledging what he has wrong, because you probably can't even see everything on the screen at the same time right now, but is going to activate the Sleepy now. And at this point, there's really low chances of even more interruptions on the side of Nash.
So many cards in hand, he has to use the middle mouse wheel to scroll through.
Ooh, and we go for another copy of Chaos Hunter that we have in our hand, but I don't know whether the Chaos Hunter here will be enough to withstand all of those Memento cards, because we know Memento is a deck that works in a very unusual way. It can just summon out multiple big monsters, and due to the effect of Akihiron, make them attack directly. And so there is a unique way to win this game, even without caring about the field of Nash even.
Yeah, but I can't see how this is going to turn out here. We can summon back the Gatic. Gatic adds something. You have set up your combined creation in the graveyard now as well, even though that also special summons from the hand. You have Akihiron because you discarded it with 1-for-1 earlier. So you can basically use an effect to destroy the Gatic now with your fusion monster. Then trigger Akihiron off of that, activate the effect to attack directly, summon Tekutlika, and boom, you have 8,000 damage.
It is that easy indeed, and really, we've been talking about the mental ability to not get upset after having a couple losses in the first set, and Team Protoss are really showing here that they're mentally strong enough to challenge the best in the world. After a 3-0 defeat in the first set, it looks like they are coming back here.
Yep, between the combined creation and the Creation King, thanks to the Akihiron, you can attack directly, forgo all of these monsters, and just close this one out. Not too many disruptions remaining for Nesh. In fact, I don't think there are any, and I don't think it will work out for him, as Brotdosa set their eyes on evening up the score 3-3 with Vince's inevitable victory here.
Maxi is a powerful card, everyone. This is the... Oh, we have 8 cards in the deck of Vince now. You can see that now.
Indeed.
Not too many. Mace is being added back as follow-up, probably, huh?
Yeah, who knows whether we are going to need that follow-up. We shall see. There is now the effect of Snake Eye Ash. We're building a field, but as we have explained, that field may just simply not matter when we are trying to go for those direct attacks, which could be the way to go to victory for Vince himself here. Vince, a master of this Memento deck in the TCG, and translating that mastery now also into Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Jet Synchron dashing into the hand there, but Vince is just racing towards Nash's life points.
At this point, I would have found it even funnier if Vince linked all the monsters away to an access code talker, banished the access code talker itself to destroy the last set card, summon the combined creation, and then banish the Bone Party from the graveyard to attack for 4,800 damage on the Poplar, 4,000 damage on the Snake Eye Ash, and then that's already it.
Because it does give you piercing battle damage there if you go for that, but for the moment we keep on continuing here. Honestly, that might really be the way to go, but we shall see here from Vince's side. There is Akihiron, the monster we have been talking about. When that one is special summoned, as it is right here, right now, you can activate the effect, and we do that obviously as well to just make all of our level 9 or higher Memento monsters be able to attack directly for the rest of the turn.
And Creation King there in the middle can attack directly for 3,000, but it's the 5,000 that we're waiting for from that combined creation. But here is a Link summon beforehand.
That is a Link 4, can either be Appaloosa above the Goddess or Access Code Talker, but it is the Appaloosa.
Right, Appaloosa sitting there with 3,200, and I think we can attack directly if we summon the combined creation here. Now, Tekutlika's strongest soldier, Vincenzo Orofino, is trying to close this game out, trying to make it 3-3 after being completely swept in the first set, trying to make it even.
And as it turns out, the anti-Malice technology is not very good when you're not against Malice. Vince on the Memento will close this one out here. Has 4 monster negations on the Appaloosa available.
Okay, there is Linkuribo, but we've made that Appaloosa for a reason. We can just use it here so Linkuribo stays in the graveyard and cannot stop our direct attacks.
Brotdosa, they were 0-3 on the scoreboard. They were having not a great time in their group, but they showed up when it mattered, and they made it here, and they'll make it to a set 3 in this semi-final of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2025.
And that was the first direct attack, followed by the second one, and we do have a match now. It is 3-3, all even, and that is even before we head into that last set of games. It's anyone's game now. We cannot even tell. And honestly, at this point, after the first set, you're probably thinking, hey, that might now just absolutely be Team Ragnarok. But now, how do you overcome losing in the second set?
Bronas, just the mentality monster Bronas. They have said it so many times already.
Good vibes only.
Yeah, exactly. He is just sitting there saying, hey, let's just have a little bit of fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Here, okay?
Granted, I think that a lot of teams are susceptible to being reverse swept once they, you know, are in a favorable position and then drop the next set of games. But we've seen that Ragnarok, that Mist, Luca and Nesh are competitors that have honed and proven themselves over the course of many, many years. So if there ever were a team to turn things back around, it would be then. But it's Team Brotdosa that we're celebrating right now as they take us into a third set.
And you couldn't really ask for more, right? In the first semi-final, we went into the last set. It was super competitive, going all the way into game 9. And now even with the first 3 on the first set and then equaling it out on the second set, it actually turns out to be another third set scenario where the score is even and we might get another game 9 coming our way.
I do wonder, will the Sky Striker Tenpai Dragon finally make the appearance we were waiting for?
Well, that might as well be the case. I think we're going to see now the Sky Striker deck being paired up against the RYZEAL deck, so that is a good chance here. Are these players going to be prepared for that is the question. I think so, definitely, because even Mist said, I have the RYZEAL deck, of course, and some people want to counter it with the Tenpai strategy. I can just summon Arc Nemesis Protoss with my beloved Ritual Beast strategy. So this is another one of those mind games. And I think also Team Ragnarok, yes, they lost 3 games in a row now, but they have definitely had the time to be acquainted with that and to calm down as well. Because let's face it, in all of these 3 duels, there was not much they could have done to avoid this loss.
That's very true, but obviously that anticipated third set we want to see now. So let's get into the action. Set number 3 starting now.
Ragnarok versus Brotdosa in the semi-finals. This will decide who advances to face off against CHAIBA Corp later today.
It's looking at Brotdosa for the coin toss is 3 out of 3. That's massive.
That is a fantastic start.
Fuwalos chain from the side of Herman here, and we're going to see a Kashtira Unicorn normal summon
yeah, that ghost spell being used as material there.
Okay, Bronas is going into his Fiendsmith combo, and they have the hard-drawn Kashtira Birth as well. Oh wait, we did actually search it, so Bronas, no longer a RYZEAL player, but it looks like Bronas went back over to his Kashtira Fiendsmith.
I don't think the Millennium Fiendsmith Snake Eye. I don't know if he has the Kashtira engine or if that's just Nesh Spice. Speaking of Nesh Spice, he needs to bring out something good here. Oh, yeah, we did see the Kashtira, actually. You're right.
And I think he had it hard drop.
It was the call by the grave on the Molchami Fuvalos, but the artifact Lancea is, of course, designed to beat the Malice deck, but sometimes it also helps against the call by the grave.
And in Duel B, there's Ash Blossom on Max C. These players are giving everything right now. Blade is going to destroy itself. Summon out the Anguish gives the first draw here. And keep in mind, not only is Fuwalos active, but also Lancea does have a big impact against the Memento strategy. No field spell unless you hard draw it.
And you're seeing disruptions traded back and forth without Ragnarok even getting a turn thus far. Let's see if Brotdosa can weather this storm, or if Ragnarok will take it back here as the turn passes over in Duel C.
Bronas with not a good field. This is just IP Masquerena plus Kashtira Unicorn. Does he have something like Max C in hand?
Probably also not a good hand, given the fact that he had to use the Ghost Spell for the material.
Book of Eclipse on almost only a Link Monster is crazy, but the Link Monster is IP Masquerena, so not doing too much there. No Ash Blossom already for that is there something like a Maxi? It wasn't activated yet. I don't know if it's going to be ever activated. Memento Link Goblin is being normal summoned. Can it activate its effect? Lacrima is being summoned from the graveyard now, or put back to the deck, summon out the Requiem.
That
the Goblin
enables the IP Masquerade. We didn't even care about the Book of Eclipse, so we can now just do it again because we have another monster available.
The Goblin Biker Memento is Nash special, but there we go!
Denying the effect of the Requiem to make sure that there is no Lacrima coming back to the field, and that leaves the IP Masquerade empty-handed with no other link material to link with.
So much Memento gaming right here. Vince is also chilling on the Combined Creation King, activating it, not really knowing what to send. What can you even do? You don't want to give more draws. You cannot banish Fusion from the graveyard to pop to continue extending. You can send Akihiron, doesn't do anything. You can send Gatic and the Field Spell.
They won all of the coin tosses, but it looks like Ragnarok have been able to make some kind of a comeback against Brotdosa here. Brotdosa, yes, they got to go first. Yes, they got to set up and do their thing, but right now it's Ragnarok's game.
I love that. Simultaneous activations almost there from Memento, Miklan Field Spells on Dual A and Dual C by different teams, though.
Wait. Okay, are we searching to the hand, or
Yes.
are we...
I think we're
special
searching.
summoning? Because if we are just searching here, we don't have to... Okay, Tatsuno Toshigo can of course be special summoned as an extender, but keep in mind Gatic has already been used here. Now, the Akihiron is being special summoned. Okay, you can summon Tatsuno Toshigo and then destroy your Akihiron as well to get the add back of something from the graveyard. But you also have the Memento Miklan.
Still in turn one for this Memento deck, so could still very well set up some kind of disruption here.
We have talked about Memento being such a big factor here in the tournament, and it looks like the Memento decks of both teams are going to be the ones here leading charge for their respective teams, as both of the Memento decks get to combo here for Vince and Nash respectively.
Meanwhile, in Dual C, running critically low on hand size on both sides. Nash out of it, but he has a field, he has a graveyard, he has IP Masquerena facing him down with nothing to link to because it needed that monster face up, but the Book of Eclipse came in clutch. Starting things off with that was good for Nash, and Nash now extending.
We have two very interesting duels in Chris versus Luca, where Chris is miles ahead in his Malice combo, and of course Nash versus Bronas, where Nash is starting to combo off. We have no information about the last two cards in hand of Bronas, but how good can they really be?
We are trying to figure out how to resolve our Twin Dragon now, but we did so now in the end successfully, and we bring back the Gatic from the graveyard, and the Anguish that of course was summoned will also now be able to search for another copy of Tatsuno Chogo. We just saw that in Dual A, but here in Dual C, it is also now into the action.
The cards in Bronas' hand are indeed the question here, as he summoned that Ghost Bell. Suboptimal more often than not, but is he prioritizing holding on to two cards that could make the difference, or are they even less optimal than that? But regardless of how Bronas plays this one out, it's Nash's time to shine. It's the Memento deck that is ramping up.
But we just saw Mist. We're basically praying, so I think let's go over to Duel number A and check how Mist is doing there, because I think turn was just passed over there to him.
Yeah, let's go over to Duel A. Mist will now have 6 cards in hand. This is not the biggest field that I've ever seen a Memento player have, but it's also not the worst one, especially after 2 hand traps, even though one of those was Fuwalos, of course stopping the combo a little bit.
And I have seen Mist on the Ritual Beast deck dismantle scarier fields than this, but here we are in Duel C.
Goblin Biker, Big Gabonga is being Exceed summoned here. This is not any regular Memento deck, but it is Goblin Biker Memento. Nash is famous for this deck. He has been playing it so much, and he's also bringing it here to the World Championship.
Yep, the 2 Anguish used as Xyz material there to make this happen. And indeed, we said Nash no cards in hand. It's all about the field and the graveyard. Suddenly replenished that. Suddenly extending again and finding ways back into this one.
Oh, Big Bonga now using the effect onto the IP Masquerena. One material was taken away by the Dark Charger, but we put that IP Masquerena underneath the Big Bonga right there.
Now we have the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance, even more extension on the other side. In Duel A, Mist has of course started with X, and X is so good as a start against the big Tekutlika, because Tekutlika can trigger after an effect was activated, but the first effects that activate are X and the Mariologic Aggregator. Once they resolve, there's nothing you can summon back with the Tekutlika.
Talk to me a bit about the Firewall Dragon pass in Duel B as well, because Luca now, with the Bestial, I believe, on the field, does have 3 cards in hand on this Malice strategy.
That could very well be enough. We see now the relinquished Anima here, first of all, though, for Nash on the main table, and there is a Malice Dormouse in Duel B2, so it really feels like the momentum is shifting back over here to Ragnarok. They may have lost all the coin tosses, but they are really working their way here into this third set.
And there's another Impulse here. I think the Impulse was a card that probably was also used by Luca in that last turn. Impulse is so impactful. If you can hit those Malice resummon effects from the extra deck, these 900 life points paid affects you. On the other side, Vince is trying to use the Memento Micta and has of course cleared the field already once with the combined creation kick, while Nash is trying to look out to finish the game.
Yep, Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians. We've seen time and time again. This generates an extra material and then links off into the access code toolkit, the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. Anything Nash needs is available to him.
And you see that famous smile by Nash. He's smiling as he's doing all of that because he knows he is now safe with Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess from those potential remaining cards in the hand by Bronas. But we are now still trying to get to those 2 big monsters to possibly attack directly once more with Memento cards.
Yes, the combined creation and the Creation King. The Memento creating wins left and right so far this tournament, and it doesn't stop here. Nesh on this deck coming back into it and looking so good against Bronas.
Can we also look again into Duel A, because there is more actions happening. Vince is building up a sizable defense here while Mist is trying to break this. Has 6 cards in hand. So many interactions are already out. But what is left for Mist here? We know that he must have searched some more cards, probably off of the RYZEAL sword.
It could very well come down to that final game as these teams are trading back and forth. Duel C, you have to consider, is well within Nash's reach and well within Ragnarok's victory, but the others could go either way.
Did I just see a Drolan Lockbird by Herman there on his very own turn? That looked fairly interesting, especially when you are playing the RYZEAL deck yourself, but that was indeed what happened, and there's a triple tactic Talons following it up there.
Wait, Talons, has he negated the Tekutlika earlier? Because otherwise this could be a crazy field wipe here with taking the Tekutlika and attacking over everything, but I think this should be negated with the Mariologic Aggregator. And now Ice is being normal summoned here after that. Maybe also the combined creation kick was targeted with the Mariologic Aggregator, but Nash Antonio Papa is ramping up the attack here, is going for another Tekutlika. Who is your Papa now, he says, as he is going to summon the combined creation.
Yep, combined creation, the difference maker for the Memento decks, and it's on the wrong side of the field in Mist's game, but the right side for Nash here, and Ragnarok take you to that deciding point.
4 wins for Ragnarok. Nash is attacking with the Tekutlika, and no celebrations just yet. There is no reason for him to celebrate. The job is not done. We are looking here at Luca versus Chris. The gloomy Charmer has been summoned. This is an amazing extender in the Malice Mirror match.
Yes, Malice in the Mirror indeed. We've seen it multiple times this tournament, but these two have been the most prominent players between them, hence why they're meeting in the semi-finals, but only one of them can proceed into the grand final. Luca doing everything he can to make sure it's him.
Chris has Maxi as well, chains it to Dark, the gloomy Charmer, and Marcher is of course being the response to that, because you don't want to give too many draws there. If you can let one less draw go through, you will do that under any circumstance.
Is there ever a way to not try to go for it here? Do you just play it a little safe, do not commit into the maxi too much, or do you just go for it right here, right now, and are you trying to end the game this turn? I think if I am in the shoes of Luca Foyen right now, we're trying to go for game in this very turn.
Malice in the mirror, in the Malice mirror there. Chris activating that, hoping to make a comeback here as the game rapidly looks to be escaping his control.
You have to be super lucky that Chris doesn't find any more interruptions here. Also, the White Rabbit is going to be very annoying to deal with if you want to go for a quick OTK without doing any more special summons or too many, because what I thought was going to be a good play is go into one Malice Link and then go into the access code talker, but there are way too many bodies now.
Ooh, Malice MTPO7 set, but immediately also activated, brings the March here to the hand by banishing immediately that White Rabbit, but it looks like we're not even able to activate the White Rabbit anymore now, and we just bring out the March here instead.
No more disruption, crucially for Luca here, so if Chris has options, as you mentioned, Leo, he can just keep going.
What can you do here? Is there a way to get the win with Malice Q Hard Scripter here in this very turn? You can link all of the 3 main Monster Zone monsters away, but I don't think that is going to be the best play here. Also, has Firewall Dragon been used yet? We have the White Binder now from the graveyard summoned into the Firewall Zone, and now this is looking way more difficult all of a sudden for Luca.
Ooh, but please remember, Chris is down to 3,800 life points. That's really not that much. And even though Chris is constantly playing right now, it is still the turn of Luca, and he is the one that will have a battle phase next.
Let's go over to Dual A right now, because what is happening there is incredible. Mist is in his main phase 2, has cleared the entire field, still has the Tekutika there, but the deck has barely any chance to get rid of this card unless you are playing Typhon, but you're so locked out of that by now.
Yep, we do not have much remaining for Mist, but he's cleared out the field. Once the turn passes back over, it's on Vins to clutch this one out. What in the rank 4 toolbox are you grabbing now? It's Baguska, the terribly tired tapir.
We had Sleepy, now we're terribly tired with the Baguska. It is still the semi-final here, but we're taking some speed out of it here by turning everything into defense position with the Baguska.
Yep, and there is Memento Fusion being activated. I think this was end of main phase called right there, just so you can probably fuse from the graveyard, I would assume at least, get some more resources onto the field while the combined creation is going to be put back onto your own field. You want to have an extra deck monster here on your field just so that you can next turn maybe immediately link off into SP Little Knight.
Yeah, absolutely, but still, we always say when it gets back to the Memento deck, when we have survived the turn, the follow-up for Memento is usually absolutely amazing, and I think they might just be able to out the Baguska. Don't forget about the RYZEAL crossbow, still able to negate something like an SP Little Knight.
And to Dual B, there is a Baldrake chained to the Link Decoder. That is usually not the biggest of deals, but if you are trying to OTK through a Maxi that has resolved, this is huge news, because the Baldrake also forms another interruption onto the field of Chris.
Yes, indeed. Trying to weather this storm and take Brotdosa to the finals. There's a negation sent over onto Vins here. Vins, can you turn this around and clear out the Baguska standing in your way? The RYZEAL Detonator and the RYZEAL Cross, of course, are also issues, but first and foremost has to deal with this.
How are we going to do it? Normal summon, Mentotlin, Sleepy, and I think we are just looking into our extra deck, trying to find a suitable Link monster, and that is most likely going to be that SP Little Knight. But before that even, we do go ahead, use the graveyard effect of the Mentotlin Fusion to search for the Mentotlin Bone Party.
I think Vince is looking really on fleek right now. I see in Dual B, there's a Firewall Dragon being activated, but the timeout there is a timeout! I cannot believe this! Chris just timed out in the semifinals of the World Championships! What is happening right now? Nobody saw this coming!
Ragnarok have done it in the most unexpected fashion.
And look, they can't even believe it themselves. They're like, did we really win? But yes, it was Chris timing out there. He played and played and played on the opponent's turn. And look, they can't even realize it, but they are moving on to the finals.
Luca clutching his chest in relief Ragnarok are your other finalists here at the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2025.
That came out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
We did not see a timer at all. And all of a sudden, this game that didn't look good for Ragnarok was decided by the timer. This was absolutely breathtaking. Basti, you must have felt that.
Yes, I'm usually the one timing out with that deck or with any other deck in Master Duel, but it was in that case, Chris. Unfortunate ending, of course, to that intense of a match. I think no one on his team, no one of his teammates would be mad about it though. Chris has played so well until this very moment, so you can't blame it at all. And in that situation where the pressure is so high and where you have to do so many things at once, it is not a shame to
Not only that, but you have to consider that there are two games happening simultaneously as well, and that means that you have to think about your teammates in this situation. It puts even more pressure, even more things you have to pay attention to. And yes, Leo, you said, Basti, you must feel it for the victors there, winning off of a time out. But also for Brotdosa, the heartbreak of losing in such a fashion after such a good showing all tournament long.
It was really also looking like it was swinging towards their favor there in that game. The Firewall Dragon responds to the access code talker, and then all of a sudden, pew, 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 everything, the entire field exploded. That was almost like
everybody looked surprised.
Yes, definitely. The entire venue also was shook when we saw that notification there coming up on the screen. Timed out, and honestly, imagine you sit there as the team captain. I know Bronas is probably one of the most relaxed and chill persons I've ever seen, but he then seeing on Chris' screen that number ticking down, but he can't do anything about it but say, hey, bro, please do something about it. He couldn't do anything about it though. It was dramatic in the end.
Yeah. Congratulations to Team Ragnarok on the other hand. They're definitely deserved. They are they are playing the last game. We're actually getting back into that last game right now. That's very interesting.
Yeah, putting yourself into their shoes as well, though, thinking about the fact that you have to worry about the timer ticking down, focusing on your own game as well, and then under the pressure of having your teammates going like, play faster, play faster. That is what happens. You get overwhelmed and it breaks hearts, but they are still all smiles. They are still playing this out, and we will still see how Vins outs this Baguska.
And honestly, this shows you how much these guys love Yu-Gi-Oh! You see Miss still saying, hey, I want to win this game. I want to keep on playing. We have still the finals of the World Championship to play, but I want to end this year as well. I want to show them that I could have done it myself, maybe, but it really looks like it would be Vince winning here instead.
That one's hilarious, by the way, that you have to attack over this Typhon to out the field, and then you can't still, after all that, out the Baguska on the side of Mist, because there is just the aggregator that you destroyed basically with the Typhon.
Regardless, it goes to show that this was well within the grasp of Brotdosa if that timer victory had not happened in favor of Ragnarok. Ragnarok pushed to the limit by their European rivals, and yet they come out ahead. They're getting a little bit extra practice ahead of the finals. Can they take the trophy home after such a close victory over Brotdosa?
It came down to the very last moment. Chris really played down his entirety of the timer. For the people at home wondering, there is no round timer or anything. But in the game, when you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, there is a timer for your actions, for your turn. And that timer, in that case, was down to 0 and therefore gave the opponent the win.
Think too much, talk too much, interact with your opponent during their turn too much. Just absolutely
interact with your teammates during your turn too much. Is also if you're trying to help your teammates when you're saying, hey, I'm comboing right now, I can basically have a little chat during it, which I do not recommend, especially if you're not playing the deck in your dreams basically. But now there's Infinite Impermanence immediately. Mist really wants to win this game as well, but I think you can just easily out the Baguska, the terribly tired Tapir, now by just attacking over it. And I mean, your setup is good here.
I mean, you can attack over it with the access code talker, but still, that leaves you with sort of wasting your battle phase, and that guarantees Mist another turn here, actually.
Do you pop the cross? Do you have another? You're negated. I forgot about that. But yes, of course, you can just activate the Memento and Goblin, and now I think Vince can just perform the entire combo all over again.
I think he's free to do whatever he likes. Of course, Memento and Goblin sending 2 Memento cards from the deck to the graveyard. And you can tell Chris and Bronas, they're kind of already recapping the game. They're already kind of breaking down how this all went down. Maybe where they could have saved some time on Chris's game, but it is nothing to be taken back anymore. But we still will see how Vince is playing out this remaining game.
Very good also, because it means that now you have Mist getting a little bit extra practice against Memento ahead of facing off against Puck in the Grand Finals.
There we can see another combined creation. Creation King, not the combined creation, but this is such a powerful fusion monster. I think it came out in Infinite Forbidden in the TCG.
Yep.
Bom, galera, seguimos finalizando aqui. Temos o vencedor do campeão mundial aí de Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, que foi finalizado, sendo a Ragnarok, a equipe campeã, vencendo aí a Brotdose aí. E Chris, Bronas, Vince jogaram demais, porém Nash, Luca e Mist se consagraram campeão mundial aí do Master Duel 2025. Então seguimos finalizando, agora eles vão passar somente as reprises, né, algumas reprises do que aconteceu. O campeonato foi ali em Paris, né, na França. Vocês viram aí um pouquinho do cenário do campeonato, o rosto dos jogadores também, né, aqui, coisa que a gente não mostrou na nossa transmissão anterior, porque a gente estava direto no Duelo Live. E dessa vez a gente entrou aqui pela página do canal oficial do Yu-Gi-Oh!, onde a gente consegue ver oficialmente aqui a transmissão e o rosto dos jogadores, que eu acho que também é importante, né? Pra gente ver como que está a reação deles nesse momento. A gente vê ali que o Nash aparenta estar muito feliz, o Luca aparenta estar preocupado. O Mist ali, que eu estava chamando até de a Mist, na verdade é o Mist. Ele também aparenta ali estar tranquilo ali. E a Brotstone, ambos estão bem com cara de preocupado ali, o Chris ali também. E galera, muito bom esse campeonato, muitos decks se destacaram. Memento, eu acho que foi um dos decks que mais se destacou nesse Mundial, mais se destacou. O deck também que se destacou bastante foi o deck de Atlante, se destacou demais aí também, trouxe muitas vitórias para eles aí. Além disso, o deck de Gimmick Puppet apareceu um pouco também nesse Mundial, trazendo bastante vitórias aí também quando apareceu. E claro, né, os deck metas, Malice e RYZEAL aí também, com um grande destaque aí para esse Mundial, jogando muito o RYZEAL, o Malice também jogando muito, e mostrando por que eles são o deck meta, né. Espero que vocês tenham gostado, galera. Toda a reprise vai estar aí disponível no canal. Vocês podem estar acessando aí e assistindo depois. E logo mais a gente vai fazer uma outra live para comentar sobre as cartas utilizadas dos oponentes, né? Porque pode ser que após o Mundial aí tenha uma lista de banimento, não sabemos o que pode vir aí. E vamos tentar acompanhar aí, ver o que mais pode acontecer aí agora com a equipe aí que se consagrou, né? Eu vou passar aqui, mas acredito que eles parou a transmissão. Foi isso mesmo.
Between CHAIBA and Ragnarok!
The score is completely evened out, and this is how I like it the most. We will be going to set 3, where the score is even and where we cannot tell just yet who's going to make it. Of course, now it's going to come down to who plays who, what are the matchups, what are the decks even being picked by the players, everything on the line.
Will we finally see Joey's second deck, or is it Malice all the way through? These are your best duelists in the world, and they are showing you exactly why they got that reputation and exactly why Group A was so competitive with both of these teams in it.
All right, everyone, we are here in Paris live for the Yu-Gi-Oh! WCS Master Duel Finals 2025. Paris, cheer for your finalists. Who is here for CHAIBA Corp?
Crowd going
Uma
wild,
salva de palmas aí para CHAIBA Corp.
Some fans for Team Ragnarok in the booth.
Actually, that sounds like CHAIBA Corp might be the
Really?
favorites,
Yeah.
despite Ragnarok having the home field advantage here in Europe.
I think they were just cheering so much they didn't hear you there. Can we get it one more time for Ragnarok?
There it is. Okay. Crowd
Boa,
is going
boa.
on. You see the shot here of our venue. We have a beautiful venue, players on the stage, and of course, now is where the pressure is so high. They are sitting there realizing we will only play 3 more games of Master Duel today, but these 3 games will be the most important ones of the entire weekend, maybe of their entire life, as they are games for the World Championship title.
And we've seen these players perform so well across the course of the weekend so far. We've seen them perform so well today. Throughout the past year, we're looking back as well. Just these are legends of their respective scenes. TCG, Master Duel, Europe, North America, they've been all around the world, even to Japan in the case of Mist, Herman Hansen, and I believe also Enzo Fialos as well.
Absolutely. And they realize that title is up for grabs. It's so close for both of them, and both teams have the absolute chance and right to grab the title now, maybe. And we want to see who is going to become the world champion, the team that is going to be the new rulers of the world, essentially. Who is going to make it? Set number 3 starts here.
Ragnarok versus CHAIBA Corp. 3 and 3. The first team to win 2 duels will win the title, will win the championship, and win this here. Leo.
In the World Championships Finals, we have Puck versus Nash in the deciding game of the day. Meanwhile, Luca is also selected for Maxine is activated.
Oh, we have no direct answer to it. Memento, then Bone Party is chained.
Ash, Blossom, and Joyous Spring.
Blossom and Joyous Spring. Nash really is resolving Maxi in the deciding game here.
Nesh has this deck as an answer to the Malice, but it is Memento that is currently suffering at the hands of it.
You don't even know which deck it is right now, well, just looking at it, because there is
Disruptions available to
out everything that we've ever wanted. Prioritizes the sleepy body on the field as well here, just to be able to go into an Appaloosa later. Because you have 20 cards in hand, but you can't always get them all to the field. So I think
I also like that not only you won with the deck, but you won against it. A lot of normal monsters.
Interruptions on the side of Killer Rio, and just leave him with only 2 monsters in defense position. What is he gonna...
That one is so strong as it's used its effect, sent the top 3 cards from the deck to the graveyard. And he got a little bit lucky with it, right?
if it hits a Dark Galactic monster, it is going to be able to attack again. If you have them more than 3.
Most of the times we're basically defeated by such decks. So, were you expecting it? Did you think about it? Maybe, you know, that 5th deck could really give you the advantage in those kind of matches.
That's very interesting, because before the event, I actually said, oh, if you lose with Shadol and Despia, you have no chance to win the round. It's not at all what happened. I think I very much underestimated the power of the deck.